Hello, I'm Doug Watches. Welcome to the Locksmith DVD training program. In this course, we will discuss the features of many different types of locks that you will encounter. This course is not for the beginner. It is assumed that you have already mastered basic rekeying skills. This is a long DVD as I have tried to cover as many locks as possible. I am presenting the basic features of locks and going into greater detail only where I think it is needed. The goal is to present enough information that you will feel comfortable attempting to rekey the locks which are covered. This course is divided into 14 parts. Part 1, Quickset Tighten Lock. Part 2, Quickset Ultra Locks. Part 3, Quickset Egg Knob. Part 4, Quickset Smart Lock. Part 5, the Schlage Secure Lock. Part 6, Schlage Modular Lock. Part 7, Schlage Electronic Keypad Lock. Part 8, the Ilco Peanut Cylinder. Part 9, the European Profile Cylinder. Part 10, RV and Cargo Trailer Locks. Part 11, Garage Doors, Sliding Patio Doors, Cam Locks, and File Cabinets. Part 12, the Almont Padlock. Part 13, the A-Bus Padlock. And Part 14, Suggested Practice. After viewing this video, you should be able to do the following. Recognize the locks covered in the course, and 2, be able to rekey the locks that are covered. This is the Quickset Tighten lock, and it was designed to be a little bit higher security. It's a 6-pin lock, and also has a feature that allows the locking core to be removed with a control key. This is a deadbolt. We have the same application on knobs for regular knob locks. Okay, these are the keys that come with the lock. You can see they're different than the regular keys. They're larger than the normal Quickset key. They're 6-pin keys. And this is the control key. It's called the rekeying tool. Its cuts are the same as the keys, but it has a notch cut into it right here. If you'll look right here, you can see this notch. This notch is cut between the 2 and the 3 pins. A notch allows for a wafer a locking wafer that holds the lock in place. With this gap here, the wafer can be released and the lock can be removed. I'll show you how that works. But the important point is, if you don't have a control key, you can make your own rekeying tool or your control key. Simply take a regular key. I don't normally use the original keys. I'll usually cut a whole nother key with the cuts, and then you can simply cut a notch right between, just so it covers that area between the 2nd and 3rd pins, and probably about as deep as a 6-pin cut. Okay, so we're going to just focus on one half of this lock, and you can see that the lock comes out of the housing just like any other Quickset lock typically does. But here you can see this retaining wafer, and it's about in the 2 o'clock position. So if this were on the building, we wouldn't have to take this off. If we had made ourselves a rekeying tool like this. Okay, now the wafer's about 2 o'clock. We have to get that notch around to about 2 o'clock so that wafer can be released. So we put the key in. The bottom of the key is at 6 o'clock. Turn it around to about 2 o'clock. And you see it'll just come out. Now the Tighten lock, once you have it out, it's pretty standard. Just push the clip off the back, just like we do all of the other Quickset locks. Just take a follower and push the plug out. One thing I try to be cautious of is the little space where the clip goes on the back. I try not to put that clip underneath the locking wafer right here. Sometimes it can catch on that. And of course there's a gap on both sides, but you can see there it is, a standard 6-pin lock. And rekey it and just put it back in. Take your control key, turn it around so that the locking wafer disappears into the lock. Put it back. And again, now if this were on the door, we wouldn't have to pull it out. If we had the control key, we could just leave the housing on the door and just pull the plug and shell out. This is a quick-set key and knob lock, and we can see right away it's not the normal 400 Series 400 lock. And so it's possible that this is a Titan lock, and we need to do a little bit more investigation here before we will know for sure. On the inside of the door, we can see that there's no screws visible. So that's a clue that we're dealing with a Kwikset Ultramax lock. This is a little better lock that Kwikset puts out, and it's much like the Titan lock. One of the differences is the way it attaches to the door. It has a mounting plate in behind here that the screws are in. So this rose covers the actual mounting screws that hold the lock to the door. To get this lock off, we're going to need to get this rose to come forward towards the handle. Now we can see that this lock is different from the other Kwikset locks. And if we look here, there's a piece here with a small arrow on it. Get this turned around so we can see it better. And this normally will move clockwise to release it. So if we take and push that down, there's one on each side. We can do each side if we need to, but by pushing that down, it will release the lock. There we go. Okay, on this mounting plate we can see here that we simply loosen the screws, a few turns, turn the plate clockwise to release it. And this is the real clue that you're dealing with an Ultramax lock. When you see this, it's a Kwikset and you see this mounting plate, more than likely we're dealing with an Ultramax lock. Push the latch in and we can just remove the lock with the screws attached actually. And so it comes out just like that with the screws still attached to it. Okay, another way to tell that this lock is different, if you get to the house and the owner has the keys, right away you can see that this is not a standard key. The shoulders on the key are offset just like in the Titan key, and so this is going to be a 6-pin key, and it's a dead giveaway that we're now dealing with an Ultramax lock. So the two major differences between the standard Kwikset 400 lock series and the Ultramax, and also much of this applies to the Titan, the differences in the keys, and then the Ultramax attaches to the door differently. The only real difference between the Ultramax key and the Titan key is the shape of the bow. The keys are interchangeable. You can see here from the Kwikset instruction manual the tools that you need for work on the Titan and the Ultramax, and they point out this control key or this rekey key, and you can see the notch here, and I want to just zoom in on that. And again, if the customer has a key, you can just take their key. If you're going to rekey it anyway, you can just use their key. And again, you're just notching out, and you can see that there's basically 3 different sections of the key blade. More or less, the bottom third of the keyway is notched out right here up to the middle section. So about a third of the key is taken out. They point out that the blank here is number 87615 if you want to order some of these just to have in your truck. Okay, so here I've taken just a regular Titan or KW10 key blank and cut the same cuts on the key as the original key, and then I notched out here for our control for the locking wafer right here. Okay, so we'll take our new key that we cut, we can put it in, get it in there, turn it to 9 o'clock, but right in there it's going to come out just like so. So there's the cut your own control key and take it apart just like that. Now if you have no idea, you have no key and no idea what the cuts of the key are, the other way to get this lock apart is to remove your spindle. I've already pulled the spindle out of this one, and then pick the lock to the 6 o'clock position. Now I'm not going to take time to pick this lock, but that's okay. Here it's in the regular position with the keyway pointed up. I'm going to just use the key to show you, but if we were to pick this and then just turn it around to 6 o'clock like that, it would still come out. If we have a control key, we can turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise and the lock will come out. That allows the locking wafer to recess into the lock housing. Or if we just have a regular key and we take the center spindle out, we can go ahead and we can turn it around 180 degrees and it will come out. And so we can see that here, this is with a control key. Now if you have a regular key, it's not going to go in like that. But a regular key will, if you come on around, it will allow the locking wafer to recess into the lock cylinder like that. So that's a feature of the Ultramax. Okay, I have two locking cylinders here. One from Titan Quickset Deadbolt, and the other is from a key and knob Quickset Ultramax. And while these are very similar, there is a subtle difference in primarily the location of the locking wafer. The locking wafer on the Titan is more at the 2 o'clock position. It's right here, more at 2 o'clock. If I hold it, the lock straight up for you, and I put the red pin right here on the wafer, you can see it's more at 2 o'clock. If I take the Ultramax, I hold it straight up for you, I put the pin on the locking wafer, you can see we're at 3 o'clock. So again, that's a little subtle difference between the Titan and the Ultramax. Now the Ultramax deadbolt is not designed for removal by a control key. Only the Ultramax key and knob is. As you can see, this is the Ultramax deadbolt lock cylinder, and there's no locking wafer for quick removal of this lock like there is the Titan deadbolt. Another lock I want to show just for a minute or so, it's not very difficult at all, it's pretty standard for quickset locks, is the egg knob, the Laurel egg knob lock. And to rekey that, simply pull the spindle out. You want to take the key out of the lock, and when you're going to pull the knob on it, so go ahead and pull the key out. Take your tool, just like we always do. Like so. Once the spindle is out, we can go ahead and depress this locking wafer. It's pretty standard. From this point, get that off. There's a sleeve on the back. Get the sleeve off. Take the lock out, lock assemblies out. Has a clip on the back, just pretty standard from here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off just so you can see that, you know, it looks like a regular key with this one, but this is also a 6-pin lock. So, and it's loaded with 6 pins from the factory. So again, there you can see that. It's a 6-pin lock. Rekey it just like always. Put the clip on the back. Put the lock back in the knob. Put the sleeve on it. And back onto your chassis here. And you have to wiggle it around a little bit to get everything lined up there, but it should slide on fairly. There it goes, slides on fairly easily, and just push it on like so. Then make sure that your wafer's popped up through there. Go ahead and check it with your new key. Make sure everything moves like it should. So if this is a 6-pin quickset, we know that we're probably going to have to go with the KW10 key blank to make duplicates for new keys. And we can see, if we look at the key, we're going to see right away that we have offset shoulders on this key, just like we know we have with the KW10. If you come to a house and you find a lock like this with this little hole right here, that's going to tell you that you're dealing with a different type of lock. This is a quickset smart lock, and it cannot be rekeyed the way you normally rekey a quickset lock. You have to have a special tool to push in this little hole right here, and that's if the owner has a working key. If there is no working key, you're not even going to be able to use that little tool. You're going to have another tool. It's made by Kwikset. It's a cradle for the smart lock, which will allow you to reset the lock. So we're going to look at both ways to rekey Kwikset smart lock. And once you take this lock off the door, you're going to notice that it looks just like most other Kwikset locks. It has the same type of spindle system, and it will come apart the same way as far as getting the locking mechanism out. So that's what we're going to do first. Okay, we're going to remove the spindle, the center spindle. Just pop the center out of that. You see it came out fairly easily. There it is. And so, you know, this part looks similar, but we know it's different, don't we? Okay, looking at the back of the lock, we can see that there's the normal type looking clip here, but there's also a retaining clip behind that. And that's the one that we want to take out. Then the center will come out. We take that out. And this is where we're going to need to use our cradle to reset this lock. So we'll get the cradle out, and you'll see that what it looks like. And it comes with instructions. And it also comes with the reset key. This reset key is all we would need if the owner had a working key. And I'll show you how to use that as you know, part of this process, but we would not have to remove the lock from the door had they had a key. Now there's two halves to this that kind of rotate back and forth, and it comes with directions. I'll show you here real quick. It's real simple. You got 1, 2, you got 3 basic steps, and it's going to be reset. The two halves of the cradle rotate. You can see that there's an arrow on here. It's kind of hard to see it because the arrow is red also. And there's a little round circle here with a dash in it. Well, just rotate the way the arrow shows until this little round circle with the dash in it is lined up with the arrow. So once we have the arrow, the big arrow lined up on the circle with the little dash in the middle of it, we insert our lock, and it'll only go in one way because of the different grooves and so on. And then we're going to turn this 90 degrees. Okay, now we're going to take our smart tool, smart lock tool, and we're going to push it in all the way in. Then we'll take the key that we want to use, we'll put the key in. Now without turning anything, we need to get the lock out. Take it out, put the cradle aside. Now we're going to rotate the key 90 degrees counterclockwise. Like so. When you're back to 90 degrees clockwise, counterclockwise, it'll come out right there. So now it's keyed for this key. See? So we can put it back in the lock. It's ready to go. It's just that simple. Push it all the way back in. Put your clip back on. Just like that. Make sure it's on there good. It is. And that's it. That's done. Here's our key. It'll still work. So. Okay, so now we're going to put the lock back in to the knob. Goes back in just like all the quick set knobs. There it is. Put our spindle back in, and that's it. It's done. But we have to have the quick set cradle for these. So I advise you to go ahead and pick one of those up, because there are a lot of these smart locks out there. And people buy them, you know, with the good intention that they're going to rekey them themselves, but they move, sell their house, whatever. New person gets a house, they don't know how to operate the lock, or the person that originally bought them loses the smart key in all the directions and doesn't know what to do with it. So you get calls to come out and either make a key for the smart lock or to rekey the smart lock. Now if we come to the house and they have a working key, then all we do is take the working key, put the key in, turn it 90 degrees, take our smart key tool, poke it all the way in, make sure it goes in there good, take it out, take your key out, put this key here. Here's a new key. I'm going to put that one in there, turn it back straight up, and it's rekeyed. Very simple. Go ahead and check it before you take it out. I would turn it both ways actually. Makes okay. It's working now. So this key now works, and the original key does not. You can see the smart lock under the brand name of Baldwin also. Okay, I'm on a job. This is the key to the owner's house, the front door, and it wants it rekeyed. Notice that it looks just like a normal key. But when I get to the front door lock, I see that this lock has a little plus sign on it, which indicates that this is Schlag's new technology, that you don't take it apart to rekey it. You use a special blue key that you have to take one of the Schlag blue keys, which is designed to allow you to rekey that lock. Okay, there you can see that plus right over the keyway. Okay, these are the blue keys, and if you look on here, you can see that it says for reset only. Fully insert key. So the first thing we have to do is take this key and copy the cuts onto one of the reset keys. And then we will also have to take the new key that we have and make a reset key for the new key. So if the homeowner doesn't have a reset key, you're going to need 2 of the blue Schlage reset keys to rekey that lock. So what we do is we take the reset key from the original cuts, turn it to about 11 o'clock. It'll come out. When you get it in the right spot, it'll come out. Okay, so you turn it to 11 o'clock and the key will come out. Then you put in the reset key with your new cuts on it and turn it back. Take it out. That's all there is to it. Then try your new key. You can see that it works fine. So again, you take the original cuts, put them on the blue key, turn it to 11 o'clock, take the key out, put in the blue reset key with the new cuts on it, and turn it back straight up, and it's rekeyed just like that. Now you can actually find some of these blue reset keys at different hardware stores. You can also get this little pack that already comes with the extra keys and the reset key already cut. Okay, I want to introduce you to this new locking mortise cylinder. It's referred to as actually a modular cylinder or a modular rim cylinder that Schlage has put out. It has several parts to it. There's a front housing, then an actual locking cylinder, the back housing, it's got some screws, then it's got a tailpiece. Now what's neat about this is that you can use the front plate with different back pieces, so that if you need a longer cylinder, you can change the back piece, keep the front piece, keep the locking cylinder, and just change the back piece. If you need a different color or finish on the front plate, the front housing, you can trade that out for a different color, and it will work for these other components in this system. So this is fairly new. It's been on the market for a few months, maybe a year at this time actually. But I haven't seen too many of these around yet. But I do think we will begin to see these show up more and more. So I wanted to take a few minutes and familiarize you with how the system works. You can see on this brochure that, come in a little closer on that. This top one, the key and lever. If you're going to use it for a key and lever lock, you simply go with a standard tailpiece on it. If you want to use it for a rim cylinder, there's a tailpiece for that. And then if you want to use it for a mortise cylinder, there are different tailpieces for different applications as far as mortise cylinders. Okay, it comes in a number of different finishes. Okay, so this is the actual modular cylinder set up as a 1 1/8 inch mortise cylinder. See the tailpiece on the back. Now these have torque head screws in them, 10s and 15s. The tailpiece is held on by a 10. So we'll take that out, and then we'll see that there's 2 holding screws that hold the 2 parts together, and again those are 15s, torque 15s. So this is a 1 1/8 inch mortise cylinder, and you see the back housing, the front housing, and then the locking cylinder. And again, it's the same locking cylinder that you can use for the Schlage lever handle lock. It again comes with different tailpieces, as we saw in the brochure. So let's say we want to take this up to a 1.5. We simply trade these tail pieces out with the back housing. We trade the short one out. We get the longer one. We take the locking cylinder and put that into the front housing. Take the back housing, slide it over it, like so. Put the 2 screws back in, and we have a different lock. Now there's a tail piece. There's an adapter that goes on here. It comes with the longer back housing. You get this piece here, which drops in there, and then your tail piece. This is an example of one of the modular cylinders that was set up for rim cylinder function. You can see it has the rim cylinder tail piece on the back. This one does happen to have a Primus lock cylinder in it. So you can see that another advantage of this particular lock is you can change the type of keyway that you're going to use with the lock very easily. And again, we'll just take it out. It has the 2 screws in the back. Back part of the lock cylinder, and then the front part. So again, this is a good example of the diversity of this particular lock. You can use it for many applications, adjusting the length of the back part of the housing, and then of course you can also adjust the length of the tailpiece in many applications. You can change the keyway out. Very diversified lock. Now we're going to take a look at the Schlage push button locks, and what I'm going to look at here is the push button or the keypad deadbolt. They also have the keypad lever lock. Basically, they, as far as rekeying and reprogramming, are about the same. So I'm going to just show the deadbolt here. And this is, it's a fairly good sized lock, but it's no different than any other lock, except it's going to have some electronics in it. So if you're called to rekey this lock, the actual mechanical lock, or if you're called to help program a new program code into the lock, you need to have some idea as to how to do that, and it's not really too difficult. Now the way this is installed is basically just like any other lock, except for the fact that we have the wire that must pass through the hole. It fits into a standard hole, and it's an easy installation. Has the same 2 bolts that go in here that we're accustomed to, which would hold the inside mounting plate to the lock. So it's easy. It's fairly easy to install. It comes with all of the instructions that you need and so on to do it. But basically, it's going to look something like that. It's going to be the outside. This is the inside, and then of course you're going to have your plate over the inside with 2 screws here. If you get a call to come out, and maybe somebody has just bought a house and they have one of these locks on their house, but they have no code for it, you're going to have to pull the lock off the door and look on the back, and hopefully the yellow sticker is still there that has the programming code on it, and then you can reset it to the factory settings by using that programming code, and go ahead and do what you need to do to get the user codes in there. Okay, I want to point out this warning that is on the bolt. It says that the bolt must be in the retracted position throughout the installation process. So if you go out to, rekey a lock or program a lock or whatever, and you take it apart, you want to make sure as you're putting it all back together that the bolts stay in the retracted position. We're going to go ahead and set this lock up on this demonstration door here that I have. I've already put the deadbolt in. I put the little yellow sticker on the edge of the door here just to remind us all that we have to leave that deadbolt in and retracted throughout the entire process. In the next part, we grab our actual lock, and of course we have this wire that we have to stick through, and then we need to line up our tailpiece with our deadbolt and push it on like so. It's basically just like any other deadbolt. It's not too difficult. As far as that part goes, it's fairly easy. Okay, so we get the lock body pushed on. Make sure our tailpiece is through our bolt. We got our wire here. Then we're going to take our mounting plate that goes on the inside. Going to put the wire through the little hole it's designed for. Get our tailpiece lined up. Now this piece here has to be turned vertical. Right here, make sure that this is vertical as you're putting your lock together. And then that it's fitting snug against the door. And we have bolts, typical 2 bolts. Just like that. And then we need to put our hook our wiring up here. There's little pins here. Make sure the pins go into the little holes on the other piece, just like that. And then we have our battery. The battery sits up here, and we want to make sure that our wiring is in this little space here provided for it, and that none of our wires are pinched or anything. Like that. And then the cover goes on. There's 2 screws that hold the cover on. But that's it. That's how easy it is to install that lock. You can see here that we're going to go ahead and test our lock. I'm going to press the select button here. We can see that we're able to lock the door, that the bolt actually comes out. So we know that that's working. Okay, now we want to see if we can get in the house. User code A was 5172. So we're going to put in 5172, and we can see that we're able to open the lock and get through the door. So the lock is installed properly. We can lock it and unlock it from the outside. Okay, let's check the key operation. Now, the thumb turn here won't do anything unless we press the code, or if we have the key. If we have the key, we can put the key in, turn the key. I want to point out another feature of this lock. If we could see right here, I'm going to zoom in on that. We see it says normal, and normal is horizontal, and then lockout is vertical. And there is a hole here, and you put a flat screwdriver through there. There's a screw in there, and if you turn it to the lockout position, the vertical position, then the keypad is not operable, and you can't use the keypad. So I doubt if we can see the screw inside the hole there, but it's got the instructions right here for how to do that. And then, as I said, the hole's right there to use a flat screwdriver. And to get the lock out, if we have to rekey the lock, we have these torque head screws, are number 15. Torque head screws, are 6 of them. We have to take those out. I'll go ahead and I'll take them out, and we'll show you how to get the lock out. Once you have the 6 torque head screws out, this simply lifts out of here. You want to notice the position that everything's in. There's again a cam here that is more or less in the vertical position. I want to try to keep it that way. Notice that this part also, we have this in the vertical position to fit the big cam, and then also for the little tailpiece. And that will just come out. This handle just comes out once you have the torque head screws out. And it's just a matter of taking off the tailpiece. Which is going to just slide off of there. It's just, at this point, it's basically just like any other Schlage cylinder. We just pull this off. It has there's a little notch here that holds this. So you're going to have to use a screwdriver or something to kind of pry that up, pry them up, take them off. Lay them down in the order you take them off, so you don't forget the order. But you can see now that it's just like any other Schlage cylinder. Okay, it only goes in one way. Put it back in there. There's a rubber washer type seal thing, a little plastic rubber type seal here. Make sure we don't lose that. Then just sit that back in the cover, like so. Make sure that it stays basically vertical. Take your other piece and you're going to align those. This cam here is going to align with the slot in your handle. So then it just drops back in there like so, and you put your 6 torque head screws back in. Okay, the lock comes with a programming code, and if the customer happens to have the programming code, you can also find the yellow sticker with the programming code and original user codes on that brochure. But normally when they call you out, they're not going to have this brochure. But let's say we want to add a user code to this lock, and we know the programming code is 681746. The first thing we do is put in the programming code 681746. Then we press the Schlage button. The numbers turn blue. We press the 1. We get 3 beeps. Now we enter our new code. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We get 3 beeps, we enter it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Light turns green, that means the code was successfully entered. So if we press this, we can lock the lock, and then we'll wait till it quits flashing. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll unlock the lock. So that's the way to add a user code. You know, more than likely, you're going to have to, if you get called out to work on this, you have to pull the lock off, get the programming code. It's a good idea to pick up one of these little brochures somewhere. I believe you can get this off the internet, the Schlage website, have it in your van, and you're going to get more and more calls on these push button locks. This lever handle Schlage, push button Schlage works the same. You can see the quick set also does make a push button, and it actually has a smart key to rekey it with. Here's the quick set deadbolt push button, again with the smart key. Yeah, I have a call to work on this lock right here. What's happened to this lock is the tailpiece has come off this lock, but reason it's in the video today, this is a peanut cylinder lock. It's much smaller than the normal mortise cylinder. It comes out the same way as a normal mortise cylinder. It has a set screw holds it in. It's just much smaller. Okay, here it is. It's on the right. It's laying next to a regular sized mortise cylinder, so you can see how much smaller the little peanut cylinder is. Here's from the top. And we'll come around, and you can see on the back it has a little tailpiece on the back, just like the regular mortise cylinder. It comes out the same way. It's identical, it's just smaller, and you need smaller pins to work it. What happened with this lock, the tailpiece came off, and the lock came apart, and pieces just flew all over. I was lucky in this case to find the tailpiece on the sidewalk right beside the door. When it came off, it fell down through the door and was still there where I could find it, and both of the screws that go in the back of the plug. And without those, we probably would not be able to repair this lock. This is a picture with the peanut tumbler laying beside the key that actually works there. You can see that the key is, compared to the key, you can tell how small the tumbler is. This particular key is a X1054 JA. Okay, this is a lab. It's a lab kit, pin kit. It's a 3-in-1 lab 3-in-1 auto kit, number LAK 3-in-1. I'm not sure if they still make this kit or not, but what this is, it's for automotive, General Motors, Chrysler, Ford automotives. It's an old kit for older automotive locks. This is the inside of the kit, and you can see we have pins for wafer tumblers for wafers. We have, again, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler pins. Now the automotive pin tumblers are smaller, so I'm going to have to go with these smaller pins, and these Chrysler pins right here work pretty good for rekeying a peanut sized cylinder. Even though this particular kit may not be available, there are other manufacturers that do put out kits that have these same pins in them, so you can check with your supplier. You can also simply just buy some of the pins and make up your own kit. You need your HPC follower set, and the smallest follower in the set will work with the peanut sized cylinders. So this is the peanut cylinder pinned up using the Chrysler bottom pins. Okay, here we have the lock back in the door and is working fine. The next lock we're going to talk about is what's called the profile lock, often referred to as the European profile lock. And I have profile locks here from 3 different manufacturers that we're going to look at. We have an Ilco lock here, and still bagged up here in the new bag. We have one that says from Primeline is the on the label, Primeline, and they're a manufacturer of different locks. And then we have a CES lock, CES, CES lock, and some rekeying components. These don't come with the lock. These have to be ordered separately from a supplier if you want to have these in your inventory. This is an example of the locking mechanism. This one's made by Hoppy, and I see a lot of these. There are different manufacturers that do make this. We can see here a hole where our profile cylinder is going to fit. And you can see how thick this is, that the thickness of this dictates the cam. This cam, turn that around so you can see it better. You can see it sticking out here. This cam has to be able to turn inside this lock housing. So again, if it's more than about 10 millimeters, I believe 10 millimeters is the standard size for most of these, or very close to that. And as long as that will turn inside there, more than likely we're going to be okay on that lock working. This is how the lock would look in the door. The keyed part's going to be on the outside, of course. Now this screw would be all the way in. I just put it in part way just to show you so you can see very clearly that the screw goes in through the side of the lock mechanism, then actually through the cylinder and holds the cylinder in there. So that if we take the screw out, we can get the lock out. You can see I'm pulling on it. It doesn't want to come out of the lock, does it? But we're going to have to turn it so the cam is straight up in the 12 o'clock position. And we can just experiment with that and just turn it around a little bit until we think we know it feels like it's going to come out. I'm putting a little pressure from this side here, just a little bit of pressure right there. See, it popped right out of there. And we just have to wiggle it like that until we get it out. You can see there's a clip here. Right here, a retaining clip, just like on many plugs have a retaining clip, and then there's a retaining clip over here. So if we wanted to disassemble it, we would take those clips off just like we always do, and we could take it apart. Now this is not necessary with this Ilco lock, because the Ilco has a feature. Let me zoom in here for you. We have these set screws. So to rekey this lock, all we have to do is undo the set screws and dump the pins out and then rekey it, much like you would rekey an interchangeable core. So it's very simple to work with this Ilco lock. And you can get them with, again, obviously here you can see there's no pins on this other side because we have the thumb turn, but we could order it to have keyed on both sides. So that's the Ilco profile lock. The next lock we're going to look at is the prime line lock. And you can see that it fits okay in the lock mechanism. So that is the prime line. Now you'll notice on the prime line there's no set screws in the top. So now we have some issues to deal with as far as how to rekey this lock. Okay, now the first thing we're going to need to do is to get the clips off of the plugs, to where I can get a hold of them and try to just get on the edge of them and push them around. There, you heard that one come loose. I can get it around here where I can get my screwdriver. Now you really want to hang on to these clips. They will fly off. Now there could be a couple of pieces inside here that are loose underneath this cam. Okay, but now with this thumb turn side, bringing it back any further, you can see this ball bearing right here. If I pull that back, it's right there, it's starting to come out. If I pull that back, it's going to come out. So we're going to have to catch that. So I'm taking the ball bearing out and just going to set it aside. There's a spring, it's spring loaded. We're going to go ahead and just take the thumb turn out. Okay, I've taken the thumb turn plug out, and if you look down in there you can see the little tail piece. We're going to have to back up the keyed side, the plug on that side. We're going to have to back it up a little bit, try not to lose any of our pins, and see if we can get enough room to get it out. So I'm going to have to just go ahead and back it up some because it's not going to come out. So we're going to probably lose a couple of pins here. I got it out, and I can look in there and I can see that one of the top pins is popped up, and I'm going to just go ahead and push it back down. It's caught up underneath this tail piece, so I can push it down and maybe get the plug to come back through. And this tail piece should come out now. Should just drop out there. Take a follower, push it through all the way through the lock, and rekey it and put it back. We're going to see if we can get this tail piece in there. like so. Now I'm going to actually push the plug up a little bit, and I'm going to just tilt that so that I have it in there. I don't want to move it any more than that, but just so you can see it from the side there. I'm going to put it right through there, and I'm going to, best I can without moving that plug. And I have to check now to make sure that that top pin on that 5th pin didn't get away from us. And it looks like everything is good. Then this cam will, the center cam will turn around on the tailpiece until it fits like so. This thumb turn, as I mentioned, there was a spring. The spring goes in here to keep pressure on this tailpiece in the center to keep it pressed up against both plugs. We have a spring here where we have the ball bearing that I mentioned to you. And the ball bearing simply just sits on there, and we have to just force it down in there as we get it up into the lock. Like so. And then here, I got the ball bearing right there with my finger. Push that up in there. See if we can wiggle it around and get everything back where it's supposed to be. There. I had to kind of hold this center cam and twist a little bit and push. And now it's all the way up in there. Our clip back on. And make sure that this side doesn't get away either. Like so. Now the next lock we're going to look at is the CES, C-E-S, CES profile lock. And this lock is different than the other two for several reasons. One thing, if when you take the set screw out, you may find that you still cannot turn the center cam around to where the lock will come out. And so if you go to try to turn the cam around and it won't come out, you're going to have to come on the inside and look and see if there is a slot right here. You can see it here. Okay, there's a little retaining pin up there stopping the cam from going all the way around. So you can take they make a little tool for that, but you can just take a pick and go up in there, and you can feel it. Go up in there with a sharp pick. There's a pin and it has a little groove in the middle, so you can go up in there and catch it and just pull it down. Now again, we're not sure what position we're in, so we have to just kind of experiment. It feels like it wants to come out right there. Yeah, there it is. Here is the retaining pin. It has a little slot right in the middle. This is what we use to grab with a pick or some sharp tool and just pull that down to release that thumb turn. And then also, of course, underneath that would be a spring. Now the other differences we can see with this lock is it has a cap here. And you can buy these caps, and if you have the caps and the tool to get this out with, this lock is easy to rekey. These are the parts here. Now you have to order these from a supplier. They're not going to come with a lock. So it's a good idea to, if you find many of these in your area, to go ahead and order a few caps and the little tool. You put it up in here and you just pry up on each end and take this out. Your pins will come out, your springs will come out. Again, it's very simple to rekey it. Then you take your new cap. It has little right on this side right here, little retaining, protruding pieces here on both sides that will go down and catch and retain it inside the lock. On this success profile lock, if you don't have the caps, you can rekey this lock in the normal method by just taking off the clips, taking out the thumb turn side, then put a follower through there and push out the locking plug and rekey it in the normal way. You want to remember, of course, that there's a pin in here that's going to come out with a spring under it. And one thing I want to show you is that this follower will not go into this lock. This plug is slightly smaller, and so you're going to have to find something else to use. It's not much smaller, and I haven't really found a good follower that works for that. So what I typically do is just grab the end of a drill bit, and I use a 15-30 seconds drill bit and just put it up through there and push that out. That's the profile cylinder, and we looked at 3 different ones. So no matter what you encounter out there, at least you'll have some idea as to how to deal with those. And what we have here is a lock for a travel trailer, a cargo trailer. It could be off of a cargo trailer or an RV unit of some type. It's quite a common latch. It's made by Fastech Industries. The 2 major manufacturers of this type of hardware, I believe, are Fastech Industries and Trimark. You can research both of those online. Both have tryout keys and supplies for locksmiths to service their locks. And this is a double-bitted key. It's a very simple wafer lock. Put the key in, pulls all the wafers down to the shear line. You'll notice the locking wafer is not pulled down. Here, the locking wafer is still sticking up. To remove this plug, we want to get it turned to the unlocked position and take our round pick, or you can use a J pick, whatever. Go down in there. In this unlocked position, the only wafer that's holding that is the locking wafer. And so go all the way down to the very bottom. Try to get a hold of that wafer and also get a hold of the plug, and you can see that you can get it out just like that. If you take the back off the lock, you can get the code, and you can also get the phone number for the company, in this case Fastech. You can simply, if you need to get just more keys, you can order more keys. The code on this particular key is 323. Here's a replacement plug here. It's 334. And so, again, if you got RVs in your area, it's not a bad idea to have a few sets of these in your van. If you don't get calls for RVs, then I wouldn't bother having them. Okay, I'm going to take the 2 screws off of this back plate and take this back piece off so I can show you the actual what the plug looks like inside there. And what we're doing is we take it out. Now, just to show you from the back of the lock, you can see that in the unlocked position, there's a space up there for the wafers to be in. The only thing we're trying to do is get this retainer here up, and so you can see it has to be in the unlocked position. So if you look right here, you'll see the top part of the locking retainer go up into that space, and then that's what happens when we are taking it out. That's what happens. You can see here I have my thumb on this latch because there's a very strong spring right here, and I took a little mechanism off here, to the cam and so on, off the back of the lock here, so I could show this. But this is a pretty strong spring, and this is true for any lock. Whenever you're taking the lock apart, always wear eye protection and be extra careful, because these can fly out. They can hit you in the eye, and of course they can fly off and you never find them again. And as you put it back in, you can see if you look down in there, there's a little notch that we have to engage with the notch on the back of the plug. So you want to make sure it's turned the right way. And then just take and grab your pick and push that. It's going to be hard to see this on the video, but I'm going to stick my pick and move the locking wafer up and all of the pins up and get it down in there. And once it gets down in there, you got to get that locking wafer again and get it up. There we go. You heard it snap in. And we can see that it does turn out a lock. Here's a little cargo trailer. It has a typical RV lock on it though, and we can see it right here. They've been having trouble with this lock, and so we're going to just replace the whole lock mechanism as opposed to the lock cores. But if we were just doing a rekey again, we would just pull the cores out and change the cores. Okay, we pulled the screws off the back of this, and you can see again, just like we saw on the brand new lock here, this lock has the key code 306 EF306 and the phone number to Fast Tech Industrial. And that's what it looks like when you pull the back off. A couple screws on the front here. Took those out. We're going to pull the latch out, put a new latch plate and everything. Okay, there's the new lock on there. Took probably 5 or 10 minutes at the most to put that on. Okay, I'm out here at an RV lot. Just want to show you a couple more of these RVs. Here's a little RV camper trailer, and you can see it. This is the exact same lock basically that we just saw on the cargo trailer. Okay, here's another. This is a larger RV type trailer, and again, here's the lock on it. So it's the same basic lock on most all of these RV type vehicles. In this section, we are going to briefly look at 4 different types of locks. I have grouped these 4 locks together because quite often these locks are replaced rather than rekeyed. For the most part, these locks only cost a few dollars, which most customers will gladly pay. You will have to look at each situation to decide what is best for you and the customer. You need to consider the time and cost to replace the lock as opposed to rekeying it. I normally stress stocking the merchandise you sell. There are a few occasions where I believe it may be okay not to stock some locks if you know they are available from your local hardware store. The locks in this section may fall into that category. For example, there are about 5 different types of garage door locks in my area, but I only stock one of those on my truck. The others are available from the hardware store if I need them, and I only sell about one of those per year. I want to encourage you to visit your local hardware and building supply stores to see what is available in your area. Also, if you're not familiar with these locks, you will find that most of them come with instructions. If I have a call for a sliding patio door lock, I will often stop by the hardware store and pick up 2 or 3 patio door locks to take with me. Later, I'll return the ones I don't use. This practice allows me to carry less inventory and still complete the job in one visit. If possible, I'll have the customer send a picture of the lock to my phone. Now these are a couple of locks for patio doors. This one's a little bit larger pull, as you can see, and it has a wood handle that comes with it. It costs a few dollars more obviously than this other one. This other one's designed to go right into the style of the door, and it will fit many manufacturers' doors. Both of these locks have cam locks. They're wafer style locks in these locks, and they're only a few dollars. So this is an example of where I would probably just replace the whole mechanism rather than try to rekey the cam lock. Some patio doors do have pin locks in them, and the pin style locks are fairly easy to rekey. You can rekey them much like a residential lock. So if it's a pin style lock, then I wouldn't replace the whole lock. I would normally just go ahead and pull the lock cylinder out and rekey the lock. Here's an example of a very popular style of patio door lock that does have the pin cylinder in it. And this particular cylinder is fairly easy to rekey, so this is an example of where we wouldn't replace this whole lock unless the lock was damaged or something. We would just go ahead and repin the cylinder. Very simple. It has 2 screws that hold it together. Take the 2 screws out and then the lock will come out, and it's much like a deadbolt lock or a lever handle type lock. You just pull this lock cylinder out, and most of them you can see right away how to take the tailpiece off and pull the plug out to rekey it. You know, this door's pin tumbler has 2 screws on the other side right behind the handle. Pull those screws out, take the tumbler out, you'd rekey this lock here. And this door doesn't have a lock in here yet, but this is a knockout. You can knock this out and put one in. This is an example of a type that recesses into the style of the door, and there are many like this, but most of them come apart the same. There's going to be just 2 screws that hold it together, as you can see in this diagram. And again, you can see with this diagram for this lock that it has a cam style lock. And this would be an example of where it may be cheaper and easier to just go ahead and replace this whole lock with a new wafer style lock as opposed to trying to rekey the lock. This is what it looks like in the package, and you can see it has a little wafer lock here, and you can see here that it comes with drawings and complete instructions as to how to install the lock. So here's the 2 pieces of the lock body, and this is the outside piece. You can see that the plug is not knocked out yet, so if you're not going to install the lock, you would just leave this plug in there. But if we're going to install the lock, then we'd knock that out. So you can see that with the key in, the wafers are down flush with the shear line, but the little locking retaining wafer still sticks up and has to be pushed down to insert that into the lock. And that's what's going to hold it in there. So that's just like the locks that we used in the RVs and cargo locks that we looked at earlier in the video. Okay, on the inside, there's a little locking lever here. See, it says open here, and you push it up, and then it's in the locked position. Then what happens is the tailpiece on the lock will fit into this slot, and it will move it back down. Now on the inside, there is a thumb turn button here that in the locked position, that if that is turned, you will not be able to use the key to get in. Here's a nice wooden pull handle, and you'll notice that it comes with the correct 6 5/8 inch spacing on the holes. I'm at a local building supply store here, so you can see this large selection of handles and locks that are available for sliding patio doors. This whole top row is for patio doors. Okay, here's an example of a cam lock. You can see one of them I stock on my truck. This one's the gold colored. And I stock about 10 different locks on my truck because you're going to need different lengths of lock bodies, but they're basically all the same. And these locks really, in my opinion, they're not worth rekeying for the most part. This is CompX, and CompX has acquired a number of different companies that make these cam locks, and they probably are by far the largest supplier today of cam locks. So if I were going to carry a rekey kit for locks, for cam locks, this would probably be the one I would pick up as the CompX kit to rekey the locks. But again, I don't normally rekey them. I normally just replace them. Now again, you can pick these up from the hardware store, building supply center. Most of them carry some of these cam locks. So, you know, if you don't stock them on your truck, they are readily available to you. Now the reason that we carry more than one One is because of color. We can be either chrome or the gold colored. But two is the length of this body is a big deal in making sure that the lock will work for whatever application it is. Does the tailpiece need to be back, 3/4 of an inch or inch and a half? How far back does the tailpiece need to be to work for the application? A lot of that has to do with how thick the material is we're going through. Now, this is kind of a small one here, but they all work basically the same. And you can see that the cylinder just comes out of the body, no problem. Just goes in like that. And there's usually a few different tail pieces that will come with the lock to work for different applications, but they just, again, there's just a screw that holds the tail piece on. And so you'd get it in the cabinet and then get the tail piece you need, get the tail piece on there. And then that's how it works. It turns the tail piece over to where it needs to go to lock the door, like so, and then back up. And I didn't tighten that all the way up, but normally it'd be tight. So that'd be maybe in the unlocked position, and then it'd go over. They usually just turn 90 degrees and there's a stop. So you need to pay attention to the stop. If you're taking one out and replacing one, pay attention to where the stop is so you can get it back like it needs to be. But as far as putting them on, the lock is not perfectly round. There's if you look here, you can see that it's flat on the sides here. You can see that it's flat on the two sides. And so that will hold the lock from turning in the drawer or whatever the application is. Now maybe the hole is perfectly round, and sometimes they'll do that in if it's a wood material, just a wood drawer or a wood cabinet thing, the cabinet maker might have just went ahead and drilled a round hole. In that case, you're going to need to go ahead and put this washer here on that has the prongs that will come up into the wood and hold the lock steady. So you just put the lock through, put this piece on with the prongs, and then the nut is going to pull that up so that these prongs penetrate the wood and will hold the lock. But that's all there is to it. It's going to have some type of washer to make it work that goes on the end. And again, various locks. Some locks have more tail pieces than this. They come with 4 or 5 tail pieces. Depends on which lock you get. They pretty much all come with 2 keys. Here's a perfect example of a cabinet lock. It's a cam lock on a cabinet where they've lost the key and want a key made. Now, as you can see from the back, just a simple cam lock. It's got a rather long tail piece on it. So I could either spend time making a key for this or just replace the lock. Now, measuring that with a ruler, I can see that the lock sticks out 1/2 inch. The thickness of the door is about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to need about a 1 inch long cam lock. Now the tailpiece has a bend in it, and so I could actually go with a little bit longer lock probably if I had a flat tailpiece. So you don't always have to go back with the exact combination that's there just so that it will work. In addition to your basic cam style lock, you probably should stock a mailbox lock. I actually stock these on my truck, but it operates much the same as a cam lock does, but it is, as you can see on the back here, it says mailbox lock. And we're going to go ahead and look at the contents of this bag here. Now you'll notice on this lock that it doesn't have a big nut that holds it onto the door. There's also quite a few tail pieces here, aren't there? There's 6 different tail pieces, and then it has a small nut here that holds the tail piece on. So again, you just pick the tail piece that is the right application that you're going to need, and then you just put the nut on that. But the main thing that's different about this is this is the one I stock. The mailbox lock has a dust cover, and I don't know, it's like $1 or more to get the one with the dust cover as opposed to without the dust cover, but I buy the one that has the little dust cover. I just think it's a nicer looking lock, and it's not that much more to stock this one here. But the way that this attaches to the mailbox, this one here has a clip that you simply slide in this slot right here. It has 2 slots, so you have a choice. If the door is a little bit thicker, you may have to come back to the back slot with it, but it's very simple. You can pull this out and put it in, change it out, in just a few seconds. Just pull that one out, put the new lock in, put the clip on it, put the right tail piece on the back, and you're through. That's it. So we don't ever try to rekey these. We always just change these. So here's a locking mailbox. It has a regular cam lock on it, not a mailbox lock. And here you can see the clip that just slides on to hold the lock on. Pull the clip off, take the lock out, and replace the lock. Less than 1 minute. Okay, here's an example of a mailbox lock. You can see the clip here is loose already. Here's the tail piece, but very simple to pull the clip off and the tail off and replace that lock. Now, in discussing these mailbox locks, just want to remind you that we're normally not allowed to service U.S. Post Office boxes. The ones that belong to the U.S. Post Office, they service their own locks. When I talk about changing a mailbox locks, I'm talking about normally they're apartment complexes that maintain their own mailboxes, or there'll be residences where the customers purchase their own box and they want the lock changed. On this garage door, you can actually see there's a combination of locks here. There's a T-handle lock that has a lock in it, but I also see that there's a rim style lock up here. This is the back side of that garage door. You can see here this is the bolt, and again there would be just the rim cylinder that comes into this rim style bolt. You can see the bolt comes down. This is the cam I'm talking about, that it stops this from turning. And if we release the bolt, then it's going to turn. Then to lock it back, you just release the bolt, turn the cam back, and the door's locked back again. Here's a couple of examples of locks you can pick up at the hardware store to service the garage door lock like we just saw with the rim style cylinder. If it has this type of thing and you need to replace the whole thing, you can get this kit. If you're only wanting to replace the rim cylinder, you can get just the rim cylinder. Now, on the rim cylinder, many of those are easy to rekey. But if you get there and you find out, well, you need to drill the lock or whatever, and you want to pick one up, these are really inexpensive to pick up at most hardware stores. So even if you don't carry them on your truck, again, these are normally readily available to you. Now, if the garage door you come up on has a T-handle, and you want to replace the whole lock, again, there's a couple of the hardware store. This one is very common in my area, and I do stock one of these on my truck because I do encounter this lock quite a bit. But it has these little posts here that extend in through the door, whereas this one does not have the post on this one. In my area, this tends to be more common, but you're going to have to just look through your area and find out what's real common. You don't really need to carry either one. If you know for sure they have them in the hardware store, you always can just go pick one up. This just bolts on through the door. Both of them just bolt through the door. And then there'll be a cam of some type. This one here, this cam here, is quite common in this area. You see it's been broken off right here, and that's why I have it. But this cam has wires that go through here to pull the catches on both sides of the door, so that as you twist it, is going to pull the cables and unlock the locks. But this is going to just slide on over this, and then there's going to be a clip. Right here's the clip in this package that just goes on and holds the cam on. And you can see on the back here, there's a piece here that this has just 2 screws on it. One on the top, one on the bottom, and so simply unscrew these 2 screws. This piece will come off of here. The lock comes out. Put the new lock in. Put the 2 screws back in. And for the most part, that's all there is to most of these. Some of these have a little crimp-on type clip that holds this in place, but other than that, they're pretty straightforward. You can see these from the end. Again, this is a wafer style lock that you're going to usually find in these locks, and they're just not worth like these are just a few dollars, $8, $9. You can pick them up most hardware stores, and it's just not worth the effort to try to pull this thing apart and repin it just because the customer wants the key changed. Just replace the whole mechanism. Okay, now another style lock is, you see, is this lever handle lock, but the lock is not on the handle. The lock is down here on the body of the lock. And it comes with the bolts and so on. So you notice that the handle's over here. The handle's not really locked. There's a long tail piece here that you're going to turn with the key that's going to release the lock that's behind the garage door, on the other side of the garage door. This is on the back side of the package, so you can see it even comes with instructions on how to install it. But you have your lever handle here is on the bottom and would engage this part of the assembly, and then your actual key lock, there's a slot for that where it's going to engage this cam and actually turn the lock mechanism that's going to release this locking lever. So you turn the key and release the locking lever, and then the handle would turn this cam that's going to pull that locking piece there out away from the door so the door can open. Now you may want to stock a few file cabinet locks, order them from your supplier and stock them, because these are normally not just readily available from the hardware store. I normally stock 4 locks on my van. I stock 3 of the file cabinet locks from Chicago, and you can see these are sold under the name CompX. And I stock the 1.5 inch, 1 3/4, and 2 inch. And then I also normally stock the Hahn file cabinet lock. This is a standard file cabinet lock. This one again comes from CompX. The way it works is there'll be a tailpiece or some type of attachment to the end of the lock. Simple screw goes through here. It will come with a screw. This is the locking lug here. When you turn the key, the lug retracts into the lock body. It allows the lock to move forward. Normally there's spring pressure that will push the lock forward and unlock the cabinet. Now we're going to see how this works. I'm going to go look at a file cabinet and we'll pull the lock out of a couple of file cabinets, and so you can see exactly how the lock works. Now on this file cabinet here, which happens to be a Fire King file cabinet, see this lock will move back and forth, but it won't come out because of the roll pin. When you push it in and it locks, it presses up against a piece in the back here that you can see it in there. That piece is spring loaded, and again, when you turn the lock to release it, the spring will push the lock back out. Okay, so we're going to just get a pair of pliers and pull this roll pin out. Now once the roll pin is out, the lock will just slide out of the cabinet, like so. If it doesn't just slide out, you're going to have to turn the plug to depress this locking lug, because it's in the locked position. Okay, the bottom lock is out of the Fire King file cabinet. You can see that it's 1 3/4 inches. It's the same as the one out of my van. All I have to do is just take the screw out of the tailpiece and move the tailpiece, and I can put it right back in. The whole job takes less than 5 minutes. And to put this back in, you just push down on this top piece and push it in like so. And then we put our roll pin back in the back, and that's it. That one's done. This particular file cabinet is an Anderson Hickey. Now this file cabinet, again, it's unlocked, so it should just come out also. But there's on this cabinet though, there's a mechanism up in here. It's a cam type thing that catches this lock, and it's holding it. There's no roll pin. But it's part of the cam that works the locking mechanism to lock the drawers, catches the lock. Okay, so I took the drawer out, this top drawer, so we can see this mechanism. Now there's a kind of a rivet type, expanding type little mechanism right here. This will pry out, and you can see up here where this has caught this lock right here. And normally we can just pop this out and drop this down. You can see how that works. When I push that in, you see it moving that cam, and it's pulling this lever up here. So there's one of those on each one of the 4 drawers that will catch the drawer. But the way this lock is held in here, there's a clip on the back here, and we could take the clip off and pull this lock body off. But the main part we're interested in is this file cabinet lock that just slides into this body here. Like I say, right now it's being held by the locking lug potentially, and also this cam right here. And you can see this is the back of the lock. Here's the lever that this moves. This lever, when you push the lock in, it will move that lever and lock the file cabinet. And then up here is the clip. So I'll just take a screwdriver and just gently pry this out, and free this cam up here. We can see with that out, then this can be lowered down and release that file cabinet lock to come out, like so. Now all of these locks have some type of spring-loaded mechanism behind them to push them out when they're unlocked. You see this spring in this American Hickory lock, it'll just come out, goes back in, and that's how that works. Okay, now this is the lock out of the American Hickory file cabinet. Measures 1 3/4 inches. Okay, now the lock on the bottom is the American Hickory, and the one on top is the Compax lock out of my van. You can see the gap in the back is much larger on the American Hickory lock. The other difference is that there's a roll pin there, as opposed to, I could put a screw in here, but it's still not going to work because this gap is not big enough. So we're going to have to order the correct lock to make this work. There are many websites that sell file cabinet locks, and so if your supplier doesn't have the lock you need, simply go on the internet and find the lock that you need. Here's an example of a site that has the Anderson Hickey lock. This is the one that we're going to need right here with the roll pin in it. But you can also see that they have the whole kit. If the file cabinet had no lock at all, you could buy the entire kit and install the lock on the file cabinet. Now a newer style lock on the Anderson Hickey and other cabinets is this one below, and I'm going to show an example of that for the Hahn file cabinet. Now it's impossible to show every type of file cabinet lock that is out there, but if you understand the basic principles of how they work, you're normally going to be able to figure out how to take them out and put in a new lock. But I do want to show this particular lock here is for a Hahn file cabinet, which is very popular, and it is a cam style lock. The tailpiece has a hole in it that this connecting lever here hooks into at the back, and then it will attach to a bar inside the file cabinet, and as you turn the lock, it moves the bar up and down and then locks the file cabinet like that. This is the Hahn file cabinet lock installed in the cabinet. The drawer's pulled out so we can see the lock. This lock is just retained on here by a clip, just like a mailbox lock is. Just pull the clip off and the lock comes out. And then here you can see the tailpiece It just comes down and hooks to the lock in the back. It just comes down this linkage, and it just bends around this little piece right here that hooks onto this bar that slides up and down. Here's another example where we can see a little bit better shot of the linkage. Again, it just comes down and just bends right around this piece here. This is the, you can see the bar, the sliding bar that goes up and down and locks the drawers. And again, very simple. You can change the lock out in less than 3 minutes. You can see from a supply catalog that both of the Hahn cabinet lock and the Anderson Hickey lock are both supplied by SRS Sales Company. And so more than likely your supplier's going to have these in stock, and you can buy these directly from your wholesaler. Something that you may find interesting to do is a simple internet search for file cabinet locks for images, and see the pictures of the many different types of locks that are out there. The type of locks that I've covered in the video are quite common, and you will see those on probably many of the file cabinets that you encounter. But you may come across the file cabinet again where you need to order from a specific manufacturer to get the lock that you need. But once you know how to work with a few of the basic designs, you're normally going to be able to figure out how to install each one of the locks. This is an Almont padlock. As far as I know, this lock is no longer in production, but there are millions of these locks that are in circulation, and you're going to come across these, and people are going to ask you to rekey these. This is a rekey tool for the padlock, and you can make your own, but I would really advise you to try to get the one that's designed to work with the padlock. And then you're going to need a working key. It can be picked to the correct position to rekey, but if you have a working key, it's much easier. Now you'll notice that this key is shaved off here. And that's the first step, to get the key and shave off this end of it. And the reason for that is that we have to turn the plug. You can see, okay, here's the keyway, top of the keyway. You see a hole here. This hole has got to turn the plug so the hole is basically at the 12 o'clock position. Now to do that, we have to shave the key off, because at the end of this plug is a ball bearing that holds the shackle down. And so to get it to bypass the ball bearing and turn the plug to the proper position, we have to shave the key off. So the first thing we do is shave the key off. So with this Almont padlock, with the key not being shaved off on this bottom edge, it is not going to turn the plug far enough to line this hole up with the top pins. So again, that's why you're going to have to shave that off to get that to work. The ball bearing back in there is going to stop that. So again, shave that off until it looks like this. You can shave a little bit off, and if it's not quite enough to turn the plug, then just take it to your key machine and shave a little bit more off of that. Okay, now this Almont rekey tool, you'll have to order that separately from your supplier. It doesn't come when you order the padlocks, so it's a separate item. And throughout this whole process, just be very careful in how you handle the lock. That if these top pins get away from us, it's very, very difficult to get the lock back together. It can be done. You can get the top pins back in, but it's a very time-consuming job usually. So we have the key shaved off. We're going to turn, and the padlock will come open up to the 12 o'clock position. We take our rekey tool. We're going to put that right in that hole, and there's a channel all the way down that plug, so that wire will slide through there, and then the wire is made just the right length to where it will hook on the end of the padlock. But again, I always advise to caution and to hold it very carefully. The next step we want to do is take the plug out. Now I'm going to hold my finger on the wire tool right here and very gently pull the key and try to get the plug to come out. May give it just a little bit of a twisting motion. This one doesn't really want to. Sometimes I'll put WD-40 in there. I didn't do this one with WD-40. Here it comes. It's starting to come. You keep your thumb on that wire right there. Don't let that wire get away. I also have it at the top up here, the padlock. Just mild pressure. You see that the shackle fell off, but that's okay. That's not a problem. You can actually change the shackle to a different length if you wanted to. So get a hold of your plug and again, very gently, just take it out of there. Okay, now it's out. We have to really be careful. When I say if you have to wiggle it just, a very tiny bit to try to, and then pull and try to get that loosened up. You don't want to knock this pin out from underneath the top pins. You don't want to wiggle it that much. So I say mainly the pulling pressure is going to be just straight out. But if you pull and it doesn't want to come out, then like I say, you can just a little bit, just like that. Not enough to where you're going to move the wire off of the top pins. Okay, everything's so good so far. Now you see this is pinned for 5 pins. Could be a 6-pin lock, but this one's 5 pins. I'm going to lay that down very gently again. I'm going to put the plug aside. Well, first I'll show you that this, you can see that this, here's the channel down the side of the plug where the wire goes. There's also a little notch here, and once you get it in, there's a retaining pin that goes in there and stops this from coming out. That's what the grooves in the plug are for. I'm going to put that aside and I'll try to show the other parts here. The shackle is just a spring. Again, this could be taken out and changed. If we wanted to put a longer shackle in, we could. Try to get a view here. If you can see right there how this wire is holding the top pins in. And again, the reason that you would just want to be so cautious with this is to try to put those back in is very difficult. There are people that have made different types of tools to do it, and they're usually like cylinder-shaped followers that have notches cut in them, and you can go in and put the pins in and then turn the follower a little bit and hold each one, and then there'll be a new hole line up with the next pin. So you can make something like that, but the best thing to do is just make sure that you keep those top pins in there. Once you've got pinned up your lock, you're going to have to also cut a new key and have it shaved off for to reassemble this. So get your lock pinned up, get your new key, shave it off, get your shackle put back. Now there's a ball bearing in there. See it roll around in there. Well, the ball bearing goes over against the shackle and holds the shackle. So I put it back. I'm going to put the shackle in, and again, as delicately as I can. I'm going to turn this so the ball bearing is down towards the shackle. I'm going to take my plug, line my plug up, the channel in my plug with the wire, and then again, very carefully get it back in there. Okay, once it's in there, hold on to it. Make sure the shackle is retained by the ball bearing. Snap your clip loose. And again, still holding everything very carefully, go ahead and get your wire out and turn your plug back. You're going to have to lock it probably to get that back. Turn it back to the locked position, and there it is. So that's the Almont padlock. Again, it's a very good padlock. It's not that hard to work with. Just so the top pins don't fly out on you. This is the ABUS padlock. This is the 8345 series. It's the one I carry on my truck. I carry it in both the Schlage keyway and the Quickset keyway. It has a couple of real nice features that I want to show to you. One is the key retaining feature, that you can change it very quickly from key retaining to non-key retaining. In other words, the key will not come out. You can't turn it until the padlock is locked. You can't turn it back to get the key out. So that's the key retaining feature. And the other feature I want to talk about is the ability to rekey it very quickly. So to rekey the lock or to change the status of key retaining to non-key retaining, the first thing we do is leave it open, the padlock. You can see that it has a Phillips head screw in there. We have to loosen that up to get the lock out. You can see the lock looks much like an interchangeable core lock. And if you take this screw out, the retaining screw, just loosen that up and the lock will just come out. So take it out, hold it kind of carefully. There will be a piece on the end right here. We'll zoom in on this. This little piece right here, you can see it comes off. You can see it has a black dot there. If you can see the black dot, that means it's key retaining. If you don't want the key retaining feature, just take it and turn it over. And that's all there is to it. It's going to become non-key retaining by simply doing that. So that's the way you change that. Okay, now to rekey this lock, all we need to do is turn the pins up into this window. They put a nice window here just to very simply rekey the lock. There is a retaining pin here that we'll need to push down, press down on that, and then turn the plug until the pins appear in the window. Dump the pins out, put your new pins in, turn it back, the lock's rekeyed. Just that simple. It's one of the easiest locks in the world to rekey. So to demonstrate that, simply press down on the pin here, turn the plug, turn it up until the pins appear in the window, and you can see that the pins will just come out. We can just dump them out. So very simple lock to rekey. Get it keyed up like you want it, cut your new key, put your new pins in there, just turn it back 90 degrees to the right, take your key out, that's it, it's done. You can see that it won't come back around to the window unless we again come back and depress the pin. Once you turn the key back to 12 o'clock, the little retaining pin here pops up and it will only turn 90 degrees then. Now here's another feature of this newest ABUS padlock. It comes with a top pin, a spring, and a little cover that if you want to make this to a 6-pin lock instead of a 5-pin, you simply put your top pin, your spring in there, and there's a little cover that just slides through here. And again, this is a new feature. You're not going to see this on the older ABUS padlocks. I've just seen this showing up recently. So that's another feature. You can add your 6th pin to go from a 5-pin to a 6-pin very easily, and then you have your rekey window as a very good feature, and then you can change this lock from a key retaining lock to a non-key retaining lock very simply. One more little tip now that you need to know: when you're in the key retaining feature, you'll need to turn the plug to get the lock to fit all the way up inside the padlock. So again, if you have the key retaining feature where you can see the little black dot, make sure that you turn your key a little bit to allow the plug assembly to go all the way up in there. Then again, now you'll see that it's in the key retaining feature. So if it's not in the key retaining feature, you can leave the keyway straight and just put the plug all the way in. So that's all there is to it. That's the Abus 8345 series padlock. Again, it's a very durable padlock. It's the one I carry on my truck, the one I recommend. They do make this padlock in many different series. You can get it with a high security key, and of course those run a lot more money. But do investigate the Abus padlocks, and learn what you can about them, because you're going to like them. For practice for this course, try to acquire each one of the locks that were covered in the video. Once you have them, take them apart and become familiar with the different features of each lock. That concludes this video. We want to thank you for buying this video, and we hope you found it informative. Please visit our website at www.locksmithdvd.com and review our other videos.